Hello, welcome to Heartlines. This is our space where we discuss all things relationship, friendship, marriage, love, and all in between. My name is Osaiwame. I'm going to be your host again tonight. And of course, I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have with me Sir Joe is joining me via Zoom. I believe Precious will also join us much later. Hi, Sir Joe. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Bodiaye. What's
Ofure.
Bodiaye? You answer me.
Ofure, I've answered Ofure.
Sir Joe, Eku cyberbully o. How was your day? The very rainy day
We spent part of it together, being bullied.
for cyberbully. Oh my god. So this topic tonight, right? Is quite interesting. The ethics of controlling a spouse's future through a will, right? I thought, this was really a good conversation to have, with the viral post that's been going around social media, uh, that a man or a chief, Abi, is a chief, right, Sajo? Um, he died and the will has come out, and in that will, I'm trying to pull up the story. So let me just quickly read it. Late Chief Inwayawu, I believe I'm not murdering his name. The will was released and the wife was banned from remarrying, or uh, if she remarries, she would lose inheritance. So they said a year after the passing of Chief Engineer Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, former President General of Ohanese Indigbo, the content of his will has reportedly been made public. The document released through his will administrator, Chief Chukuma, outlines that the careful distribution of the late elder statesman's assets among his wife, children, and selected beneficiaries. Now, according to the reports, he bequeathed some of his residents, the Port Harcourt residents in Owerri, fondly referred to as the legacy house, to his wife, Lolo Frances. In the will, he expressly instructed that the property must never be sold. Lolo Frances was also handed ownership of Magil Furniture, a business formerly operated by Iwanyawu's late first wife. Additionally, she received shares in various landed properties located in Oji, Works Layout, and Naze, all within Owerri. So yeah, I let me pause here. Sajo, when I saw this when I saw this post, my initial thought was, I beg, it's not a big deal now. She can always go and get a boyfriend. They just said the the condition is that she should not remarry, but that doesn't stop her from dating. But you are the lawyer here. First of all, why would somebody get to the stage where you write this kind of will, that is this detailed? What is the whole essence of it? I thought if you have a property, the property is meant, for the people that are coming after you, to be able to enjoy the property and all of that. I mean, make it make sense to me. Why do we have this kind of? It was strange for me to see this, honestly.
Well, I have not had the privilege of seeing Chief Emmanuel Ayawu, late Chief Emmanuel Ayawu's will. So I am not sure I can exhaustively comment on the content of the will.
Yeah.
But if we are to limit our discussions to what you just read, I want to start by saying that a will, I'll try to put it as simple and laymanly as possible for proper understanding. A will is the final decision on how a man or a woman wants his assets and liabilities to be distributed upon his death. Now, it is very important we look at some very critical elements here. First of all, the property belongs to the man. While he was alive, he did with it what he deemed right. At his demise, the property still belongs to him. And he elected to do with it as he so wished. I do not see any right whatsoever that third parties, howsoever described, has over the man's property or the decision as to how he wants his property to be distributed or utilized after his death. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with the will, in my view. The man decided what he wants to happen, and he has documented it. It is his last testament, which should and must be respected by all who claim to love him. So I don't see why there's even issues to be discussed with respect to this will.
No, so I think there's a conversation around what to be discussed, because you see, um some people have argued that, again, different this is now okay, so let's even move away from this um particular case. This is just supposed to be like a reference point, right? Or something to just refer to whilst we now have a broader conversation. A lot of times people have had this argument around why, you know, I've heard the conversations around life, when somebody takes up a life insurance policy, and when somebody takes up, or the person has a particular, I mean, you have a lot of properties and all of that, and suddenly there is a demise, and the next thing you're hearing accusations and counter accusations that, this person was, intentionally unalived because, because of the possible properties to gain or inherit from, that relationship. Then also a lot of people have gone into marriages with the hope that, okay, last pata pata, now after 3 years the person will no longer be, because I mean, these are now cases of people that are younger that get married to older people. Do you understand? After, like, give or take, I will just manage for the next 5 years. He cannot be here, so I can now take over the property, bring in my young boyfriend and all of that. So I mean that the dynamics are a lot as to why these kinds of wills will be drafted in the first place. But to my mind, I believe that, um, if I've run my race and I've done my part and I have also given you, I would expect that, you'll be able to do as you please, and of course, if possible, do much more than I did, and probably take the business, or take whatever it is that I bequeathed to you, and multiply it and do it, double layers and all of that. I mean, levels, and just go further with it. But when you put certain kinds of restrictions, then it then leaves me a bit, limited as to what I can do in terms of, exploring what can possibly come out of such kinds of inheritance. But yeah, I believe that. But in your own opinion, what do you think would be reasons people would write down this kind of wills? You have done divorce cases, you've dealt with different kinds of people, and I'm sure you must have heard some of the arguments that I just raised around people marrying people just because of property, and they're just waiting for them not to be around anymore.
First of all, if anyone married an older man, in this case an older man, with the sole intention that this man would die and then she will inherit the man's hard-earned property, that is fraud, in my view. It's a clear case of fraud, because unfortunately we are humans. We do not even know who will die first. We have seen 25 years, 35 years old women die before their 70 or 80 years old husbands. So if at such young age, now it is important we put this in perspective since we are discussing what is out there on social media. Chief Emmanuel Iwayan, uh, while we were still very young in the old Imo State, was one of the richest men from the East. Maybe having people like late Arthur Nzeribe competing with him on wealth. Now, this man, through his life, had married and lived with his wife for 40 years before late Lady Eudora Iwayawu died. I think in 2011. Then he was over 70, I think. And then 2 years later, in 2013, he married this new wife, Frances, whom he lived with until he died. That legacy building that we are discussing was acquired during the subsistence of his marriage to the first wife, and several other property that has now been willed. He had several children with the first wife, and I think has just one son with the new wife or the second wife. And people dare to discuss the propriety or the rightness of the condition of his will without even asking the fairness of that will. If that property, which has been acquired so many years ago, was willed to the then 26 years old lady who got married to a 70-something years old man, and who now is just in her 30s and still can acquire everything in the world that she wants to acquire. She can still be a billionaire if she works hard and she's properly directed by God. If this man willed almost all his assets, the core of his assets, the family property in Abuja was willed to the son. The property in London was said to be sold, and 60% channeled towards the education of the son of this marriage. So what exactly is unfair with a man saying, you can keep this property because it is a legacy property of this family, must remain in this family and must not be sold by anybody. And because of the complex of human nature, in the event you go into marriage, not relationship, because the man understands that you can actually go into any form of relationship you want to go into. But if you go into marriage, you will lose this inheritance, because the purpose of those inheritance, in my thinking, I'm not his counsel, I never met him one-on-one, but in my thinking, because we are discussing this, those assets were given to her so that she can live the kind of life that the man had provided for her while he was alive. If you decide to marry another man, that man that you have not married should provide that life, the life that he can afford for you. You cannot be moving one wealth from one family to another family. In any case, the children whose mother worked hard to acquire this property with their father are not even questioning why the property was given to the new wife of about 10 years marriage. So if we cannot discuss the fairness on one hand, we cannot say the other part of the will that says do not sell, and then if you decide to remarry, return it back to the family, or you are disinherited. We can't question either of those situations, because at the end of the day, the owner of the properties is at liberty to distribute his property as he so wish. Nobody can discuss that. It's his property. He could even have given it to some mad persons on the streets if he so wish.
Okay, so Joe, I hear we have Precious now joining us. Hi, Precious.
Yes, she's here with
Hi,
us.
I'm here. I'm here to
And now
learn.
there's light in Port Harcourt.
There's no light, so I'm using light. I just got home, no light.
Hi,
As
Precious. So,
in,
Precious, I beg, what was your? Let's not follow legal conversation. Me, I want to use this word to gist. But what was your initial thought when you saw that? Post going around social media? What did you? What came to your mind?
my initial thought was, what the hell? What's going on? And then I got to like read different opinions and different views. And the only statement that just kept running through my head is exactly what Sergio just said, which is he owns the wealth. He has the right to give it to whom he wants to, or say this is how it should be. I don't know if they can contest it. I don't know if the main problem is her not remarrying. Like, don't remarry. Like, I'm trying to figure out exactly what the society is seeing as the major problem before me, I will now talk. Because the fact that you're even telling me not to remarry, if you're putting it as a clause, like, don't remarry because you don't want the wealth to go outside, maybe because you don't want me to fall into people, the hands of people who just want to come after me because of my newfound wealth, then that's a little bit understandable. I don't know whether it's the English or something, but like I said, me, I'm here to learn. But
You
when
know,
I first heard that story, I was like, what is going on? Why are you
me, I was
control? Why are you
I
trying
was
to
taken aback.
control,
Sorry, Precious. I was
control
taking.
from the
Yeah,
grave?
because for me, I think it's just a very. For me, honestly speaking, if it is to keep the property within the family, right? There are cases. I mean, Sergio, you will know this. There are prenups. There are so many things now that a lot of people are doing to protect their property from a marriage. You get, before you go into all that marriage, the marriage, you would have signed certain kinds of things to say, okay, oh, if this marriage is dissolved tomorrow, everything that I came into this marriage with, I will go with it. You understand? You self, the thing you came into, you go with it. Do you get my point? There are all
Yeah.
those arrangements that can be sorted, right? But the fact that you're saying do not remarry, is that not rather selfish from a man's?
There was no part of that will that he said do not remarry.
Ha?
Let's put it in perspective.
But that's
No,
He
what's
but the
said
going
will
around
says,
social
should
media.
you remarry? Okay, sorry. Should you remarry, you would relinquish all the inheritance and all of that.
now that is clearly an issue of choice. Um,
It means
marry.
it means Sergio, you're not giving her
No,
an
no,
opportunity to fall in love again, to heal, to
no,
remarry.
please. You see, I've looked at this from different perspective. I've looked at this from the eyes of the woman, and then the eyes of the late Chief Iwanyawu, and then from the lens of a good and caring husband. Now, first and foremost, from the eyes of the woman, in every aspect of our lives, we are to choose between A or B, right? The choice of a 26 years old lady to marry a 72 years old man was hers to make. Whether it was love or it was intended to benefit from the early death of the man and then move on with her life, nobody can tell, nobody can know. We're not in her heart, we cannot say that. Now, the second line was, oh, it is only natural that had you married such man of such age, you would be prepared for his exit while you were still in your prime.
True.
Now, it also will put into thinking and perspective what I will do when this man is gone. There is nothing that stops a woman, whether she's described as a wife, a girlfriend, a side chick, a sister, or a mother, from becoming wealthy. She could have also been as rich as that man. As a matter of fact, we do not know the extent of her own assets.
Sergio.
I'm coming. No, I want us to situate these things properly. Now, this legacy house we're talking about, do you know when that property was acquired? so many years ago, by the strength and work and tilling of this man and his first wife, who died in 2011. The man generously again gave Majid Furnitures, a company owned partly and wholly managed by his first wife while she was alive, to this second wife. Nobody is questioning that. Now, that property being referred to as a legacy property, there is nothing wrong in law. As a matter of fact, there's hardly any will you will come across that they will not put I can dig out wills that are prepared, but for confidentiality, I would have thrown out wills so that you see. There's hardly any will where the man or the woman will not say, this my property should never be sold by anybody. It must continue to reside in the family till the end. First of all, it's his property. He can do with it as he pleases. So it is not anybody's property. Even those of us discussing here, it's not our property. We don't even have any rights over it. Now he says, you can marry. Choice. I marry, I lose these properties, or I'm not married and I keep this property. It's a decision to be made. By her, the same way she made the decision that I will become a widow at the prime of my life, even if the man had lived to 100 years old, which is rare now. I mean, 80 was a wonderful years, considering the situation in Nigeria. She knew that the man was going to die when she would be in her prime.
Sergio,
yes.
The question that I wanted to throw at you is that I hope you are aware that there are some marriages. Can you hear me? Sergio?
I can.
What did you say? I didn't hear that.
I said, don't throw this at me.
I will throw it at you, please. Because Precious, please.
You want to bully me?
Precious, do you agree with me? I want to bully you today. It's a bullying day. Do you agree with me that there are some marriages that you enter into that you are not allowed to, especially when especially when you are married into such kind of wealth, right? Because when Sergio is saying that, she has a decision she can also build her own wealth. There are some marriages you will enter, they will tell you, I mean, what we discussed yesterday. So actually, some Igbo guys, they let, no, my wife, don't do anything, just be there, and all of that. And not many people, because I am providing everything for you. So you have no reason to lift a finger. I will take care of you, right? I'm just a bit concerned and taken aback as to the motive behind it. If it's a thing of, if it is a thing of leaving the legacy property within the family, that can be done. And Sergio, you did not answer that question. Don't prenup take care of those such things? Do you understand? If it is to leave the property within.
Okay. Sorry, prenup has to do with post-dissolution share of family property. Prenup has nothing to do with. Can you hear me?
I'm with you.
Yeah, prenup has nothing to do with will. First and foremost, legacy property is not a family property between Chief Emmanuel Iwanyahu and this lady in issue, because it was not acquired during the existence or subsistence of their marriage. It was acquired before they were married. So prenup only comes to play where we say, okay, you and I are going to get married. Those clauses are only triggered at point of divorce, not death. Do you understand?
No, I'm not talking about.
So it does not even apply here.
No, I'm not talking about his death now. You don't get my point. I'm talking about if, for instance, she decides to remarry. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because if the whole essence is that you are trying to protect the property from being taken away out of the family, the point I was trying to make is that if that is the reason, then there are other ways that you can manage that, those instances that will protect the family well from even leaving. Do you get my point? I don't know if you're understanding me.
Yes, I do, but let me say to you, when I was speaking earlier and I said I was speaking from three perspectives. Now, from a good husband, in my view, I think what Chief Emmanuel Iwanyawu was trying to achieve was that if he dies, or when he dies, with the enormous wealth that will be within the control of the wife will most likely become the bride of everybody, including fraudsters,
Of
who will come
course.
around her without love, with the sole intention
To come and steal
of
from his wealth. Yeah.
taking a bite, taking a bite from those words. Now, but if they know that at remarrying, all of those things will not be there, the man has tacitly and intelligently reduced the number of fraudulent people that will approach this woman to deceive her into loving. Because they now know in their subconsciousness that, look, that money we are targeted, we leave. So it's actually a postmortem protection that even in the man's grave. Even at the man's grave, he's still protecting his wife from fraud and fraudsters.
Lawyer.
The truth is that
Precious.
He has lawyered the whole thing now.
Sergio, don't change out for us.
But are you not seeing it from my own perspective?
No, that's what I'm saying, Sergio. I get you.
Women were not seeing it from your perspective.
See, I get Sergio 100%. And the point I'm trying to make,
the woman will be exposed to a lot of fraudsters.
Sergio, you are spot on.
Themselves as lovers.
Sergio,
and they masquerade themselves as lovers, and then this woman will become victim. They will take the word from the woman and abandon the woman again, heartbroken. And the man, in his wisdom, has just said, no, even though I'm dead, I'm still loving this woman. I cannot let this woman go through this.
Wait, Sergio. So this is my question. Are there no other ways
to protect that wealth?
To protect the wealth and protect her also? Because from what you're saying, I'm trying to understand that he's not just protecting the wealth, he's also protecting her from making bad choices.
Exactly, from being heartbroken by scammers.
So is there no way he could have locked down that money? Like, I don't know, maybe a legal way that even if she gets married, her husband does not
have... he could have locked down the money. Anyway, he could lock down the money, will still be subject to social media debates. Oh, why did he even lock down the money? Even if the woman wants to give the money to her boyfriend, is it not her money? But again, you must make provision for your children and your wife so that whatever is left in their life, they will live a comfortable and decent life.
Sergio, you are missing the point. Now, this is not social media scrutiny, right? This is just me having a conversation. See, this thing about younger girls marrying older men is not in Nigeria alone. No. If you remember the famous Hugh Hefner, the Playboy guy, do you understand? Even Anna Nicole Smith, I think that story too. There are very prominent cases of younger models, right, that got married to older men. In fact, there was one, I'm trying to remember the name, I can't find that name. She was hoping that the man will be unalived, but she was unalived before him. Like, she left the world before him, and the man was still there. He still even remarried another person, right? So this case of in
your take now, Uwa, let me throw a question at you. In your thoughts, right? A young girl who marries an older man in the belief that the man will die soon so that she can inherit the man's property, is that not fraud?
It's criminal.
That's plan.
It's criminal, but let me explain something that what I'm trying to drive at, right?
She has just been outplayed.
No, it's not.
That's a player. That's a player gotten played. In her own game, man.
But I'm saying, so this is my point. That's why I said that, and I wanted to bring it back. Does it mean that? Because for me, when I see these kinds of will, right, I will see it as a what's it called? A check that I was never trusted in this relationship. You understand? It means that this person questioned my loyalty, questioned my love. That's how I see it. I don't know, Precious. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm saying. Because
Yeah,
if
I do.
if you truly got into that marriage with the intention to love and be with that partner, right? I mean, for me, when I saw this, it was screaming all sorts of, okay, I think this person must have suspected XYZ certain things. And I hear you, Sajo, 100%. There will be a lot of leeches that will be trying to come into the woman's life just for the mere fact that they know that she is now, commanding such
Controlling
inheritance.
billions.
You get my point. So yes, there will be leeches. However, for if you say you love me, right, and you are no more, and I am still very young. I mean, the way you would say, I mean, the way it would be couched is, okay, you are allowed to get married to whoever you want to marry. However, whatever marriage agreement you're doing, it has to be outside of whatever it is that I have given to you as an inheritance. So you can go ahead and do whatever, find love again, live your life, and all of that. Do you know what it means?